here with Mike. More talks with Mike. Yes, we know this is not Tuesday, it's Wednesday, but his videographer had a very busy day yesterday. All right, take it away, Mike.
You're wondering, why is this dog in my face? Well, Freddie is my drama coach, and he likes to whisper things to me while I talk. But this is about comic book scripting. A lot of people want to produce a comic. They think they have comics in them. Maybe they have an artist lined up. Maybe they draw it themselves. But the question is, how do you write the script? How do you put the words down on paper, especially if you're working with an artist and you're not drawing it yourself? Well, as I've said many times before, there's no better way to learn how to write a comic than to draw each page out by hand with your crude little stick figures, whether you can draw or not, with all the dialogue and captions that you anticipate would be on the finished page, because then you could see for yourself, you can judge how much weight the page can take. But a lot of people don't want to do that, or they feel bad about their drawing skills, and I understand that. So you want to write a script using your word processor, or you could do it by hand, of course, but what shape does the script take? The script takes the shape of a script. Well, what does a script look like? Many of us studied Shakespeare in high school. It was part of our curriculum. And Shakespeare, of course, is the greatest bard of all time. I have a collection of his works. And here's one from Hamlet. And it's got Rosencrantz and Guildenstern in here. You may not know who they were. They were two minor characters who later starred in their own movie. But the king says, "With all my heart, and it doth much content me to hear him so inclined. Good gentlemen, give him a further edge, and drive his purpose on to these delights." Rosencrantz, "We shall, my lord." And then the next line is, "Exeunt Rosencrantz and Guildenstern." That means exit Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. The script doesn't have to use Shakespearean prose. In fact, it's better if you don't. You want to write in plain English. So what you do is, and this is what I do, and I recommend it for everybody, I write page one. And then if there are multiple panels on the page, I write 1/1. That means page one, panel one. And then you have a description of the scene. And this is a little something I cribbed from movie scripts, and I think it's a good idea. Exterior night. A nightclub on a busy street in Philadelphia. Neon sign. The name of the club is Barry's. Cars are cruising up and down the strip. Fans are waiting to get in. There's a big bouncer at the door. There might be a couple ladies of the evening huddling under a streetlight nearby. Voices from inside. And that means we're not actually seeing the people who are speaking just yet. First, we're introducing them. We're introducing the reader to the scene. And if you watch movies, and we all do, you know that this is familiar, that generally you'll see the setting before you see the individual speakers, which brings us to a very important principle. You must have an establishing shot on every page. An establishing shot is something that shows everybody involved in that scene and their physical relationship to one another in one panel. In other words, if you have 5 people talking on a page and you only focus on individual faces one at a time, the reader will be confused and a little angry. You could set that up with the first top panel showing all 5 people seated around a table, and you put them in order. You say John's at 12 o'clock, Mary's at 3 o'clock, Herman is at 6 o'clock, and so forth. And then you give the lines to the character. John says, "The reason I've called this meeting is because quality control is in the toilet, and we have to get the quality up or we're going to be out of business." Then you go to 1/2. That means page 1, panel 2. Close in on John. That's a little movie lingo, but I don't know if it's current or not. But that means then now you can focus on just John speaking. You go right in on John. Says, "Mary, why are all the new Framostats missing the 3rd knob?" And depending on your pacing and how much space you have. You could have Mary answer that question in the second panel, but the word balloon would appear without Mary, and the word balloon would poke off panel. Or you can go on to panel number 3, 1/3, close in on Mary. Well, gee, John, things have been going to hell ever since we hired those Siberian Huskies. The Siberian Huskies just don't know how to put a Framostat together, and so forth. Now, even without pictures, you'll get a sense of how much dialogue you're putting on the page. And so you proceed for whatever's comfortable for you. It's traditional that most comics begin with a splash page. A splash page is a single panel that puts you in the scene and excites you because of the quality of the art. And that, of course, depends on the artist. I have no problem with splash pages. I very seldom use them because I very seldom think that a single image deserves to take up the whole page. But occasionally it does. When you reveal the monster, when you show an ancient civilization, especially when you're showing some kind of fascinating scene, either in nature or man-made, like a cityscape or a jungle, those merit a full-page splash. I rarely use them, and even when I do, I'll crib it a little, and I'll put a couple of insert panels at the bottom so that you turn the page, because the most important question in fiction is what happens next. If the reader doesn't wonder what happens next, he's not going to turn the page. So you have to grab the reader's attention. You can do it visually and with words. And I've spoken before on the importance of words in comics and how to choose your words. But that's my advice for today. And the reason you do it this way is because you can talk to your artist on the phone. You don't have to look at what he's drawn and say, page 4, panel 2. And he'll go immediately to page 4, panel 2. And you're both looking at what is written there as the description. Your descriptions can be as lengthy and detailed as you like, or they can be very concise. I like to put in just enough to set the scene, but sometimes that involves quite a bit, like in Bronze Star, when I set a scene in a tavern at Cobb's Gap at the end of the world, and I say interior tavern facing the bar. Behind the bar there's racks of liquor, and there's a framed daguerreotype of the bar owner posing with his wife and son in Poland, from where he came. The bartender is behind the bar. And I said, well, what does the bartender look like? And I'll give you an actor, for example. He looks like Kevin Spacey, or he looks like Broderick Crawford. And it gives your artist a little shorthand so that he can visualize the character. Now, some artists don't need this. They're going to come up with their own visualizations from what you've written, and they may very well be unique. They may not represent any actor or person living or dead, but that's fine too. So that's how I would go about creating a script. The scripts are never as long as the number of pages in the comic, because I don't stop with each page and go down to the next page to start again. I just say 1/6, that's the last panel. Then I give it 3 spaces and I write in all caps, page 2. And underneath that I write 2/1, page 2, panel 1. That's it, folks.
Great, very good, helpful tips. Anything else going on in the Baron universe?
In fact, we're launching Florida Man number 2 at the end of the month. Florida Man versus Hogzilla.
Wow.
Hogzilla is a 1,000-pound feral hog. They do exist. I have photographs of them. And this is just a tiny part of the story because Gary's always got so many plates spinning. But when the Hogzilla attacks an upscale housing community in which Gary used to live for about 3 months, the homeowners come to him and say, Gary, we will pay you $50,000 to rid us of this horrible feral hog, which is destroying all our properties. And Gary says, hog that big, I'm going to need 100 thou. And that's how it starts.
Well, very good, very good. Anything else in the works or happening?
After Florida Man versus Hogzilla, we will launch a campaign for Nexus Scourge, which is a graphic novel that's been illustrated by Kelsey Shannon. And if you are familiar with Kelsey's work, you know it's going to be mind-blowing. I have posted panels from it from time to time on social media. The art is completely done, but because it was originally designed as a 48-pager, we're going to include some extras. I don't know what these extras are. Well, maybe I do. They may be famous issues of Nexus that have been drawn by great artists like Jose Luis Garcia Lopez and Mike Mignola to bring that book up to over 60 pages.
Wow, that sounds very good. All right, any other things you want to share with the listeners?
Well, always take a hat. And the reason you take a hat is, number one, keep the sun out of your eyes, and number two, to keep the yellow jackets out of your drink.
Okay, so do you just whack the little yellow jackets away? Is that the idea?
No, you set the hat down over the bottle or the drink.
Oh, okay. Very good. All right. Well, you know what to do, folks. Please subscribe, ring the notification bell, and appreciate your listening. Thanks so much. Have a great day.